I could not have done on my own. So
Right.
even though, so there was a trade-off.
Right. Okay, I get
Maybe
it.
we weren't making the money, but when
got
I
the
went
trips.
to Thailand, I stayed, the President Hotel. You got to go, which you could eat off the floor. It was like a palace. So what I'm saying is, for fighters, sometimes in back in that era, I got to travel, and I love to travel, and I got to go to places where, I probably never would have had a purpose for being there,
Right.
but it gave me purpose, and I was always fascinated with the culture, and I was the first female to fight in the Dominican Republic, and
Wow.
I have to
Really?
say, of all the places I've been, it was the Dominican Republic was the one place that completely treated me like a professional athlete. It wasn't like I was female or anything. They had
wasn't a
press
sideshow,
conference. I was a world champion, and they respected that,
That's
and they honored me in that way. And so from that perspective, no, because you're young and dumb. All you want to do is
Yeah.
you're training.
What, I get to
fighting.
travel? I mean.
I get to travel. When I went to Hong Kong, it was myself, Benny Urquidez, Don Wilson, a whole
Wow, you
a
know
whole
these
North
names?
American
Holy.
team. And I got a call and said, hey, you want to go to Hong Kong? It's just an friendly exhibition. In fact, you know what? You can take your own opponent. So I get on the phone, I track down Darlene Valdez, who I fought twice and beat. I said, hey, Darlene, you want to go to Hong Kong?
Wow, that's just evil of you. Yeah, come on, I know I can beat you, so come on, let's go.
You can't win against me.
I didn't have any. I didn't know who else to call.
No, she was supporting her friend, okay?
There you go.
Exactly. I really did think about
See?
it. I
Come on,
thought,
we'll go shopping after.
exactly. I thought we'll have fun. We'll just go, and they're going to pay us. They're going to actually pay us and fly us to Hong Kong.
And she's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in.
An
She said,
exhibition, yeah.
Exactly, and we're just going to do a quick 3-4 round exhibition. It'll be
Nice.
fun.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, let's go. We get there and we're challenged. I'm challenged. Benny's challenged. And they're like, you guys are going to fight for real. And we're like, no, we're not. I'm going to go shopping and with the money I got. And so Benny, who's the only really seasoned fighter
Right.
there, took over. And he's getting us ready. And we got, okay, we're going to fight. We got to fight. And that's where I gave up a lot of weight. If you see the tape, you'll see she's a lot bigger than me. One of the fights, and there was no boxing ring. And what was worse, this is 1981. There's no UFC.
Right.
There's no. I want to say that because of the type of martial arts that they trained in, they did not want to wear the trainers would not allow us to wear our boxing gloves, which we were used to. We were kickboxing. Back then it was called kickboxing or full contact karate.
Right.
And so they wanted to wear the little tiny, just kind of mitts, like bag gloves, like kind of what MMA wears
Right.
today, but
Right.
even
less.
less.
Than that,
Yeah,
There
it's
was
just cloth.
Well, you hit the heavy bags with them, or a speed bag. They wanted to wear those because they wanted to be able to grab trap, and punch. And
Wow.
the fighters, Benny tried to explain to them that, people are going to get really hurt because Americans are used to, the boxing gloves, but they hit hard. And the Chinese were not really used to the boxing side of it.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we fought with those. There was no ring. Somebody fell out. Thousands of people. It was scary because, and I was on the cover of the one of the newspapers. I have no idea what they were saying about me. I still don't know. But they
Never wanted to find out.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But most of the Americans, I think all Americans, North Americans, because there's Canadians also. Dennis Crawford, and I can't remember who else. But
Dennis.
but we some guys got hurt really bad.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was like an MMA fight without any safety equipment, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, back in
So
those
if you
days.
fell out,
Yeah.
they just threw you back in. Finish.
Yeah.
I didn't get thrown out. But
I didn't care.
For the
I didn't
record,
get for the
other
record.
people.
It was other people. I have a videotape.
That
of it.
was
It really
them.
grainy.
Oh,
One of the guys
wow.
got kicked. He went flying into the crowd. Boom, thrown back in, and there was no rope, no ring, no nothing.
Wow,
it was
that's
just.
nuts.
It was very
in
scary
the
when they
splash
said
zone.
when they said you're going to fight. I was like, okay. That's really what my response was. Okay, we all.
So
looked
they
at
had to wait an
Benny.
extra day before they can go shopping.
So it was just
Yeah.
shock? It was just
It
shock?
was
Oh,
a
yeah.
shock, and depending on the fighting style, you can look really bad and awkward, or you can look good. Now, these people, because they were Wing Chun, they're used to trapping, closing, and really controlling.
And you were not gonna give them the
so,
dad-
well, no. At first, I couldn't kick because I was like, I couldn't get her off of me. So finally,
Wow.
I felt my ego was getting involved, and I was going, I am not going to look bad here in front of all these thousands of people. So I was like, get away from me. And then, boom, I just thought, I'm going to box. I couldn't do anything else with her. So, yeah, so I boxed, lasted 1 or 2 rounds, and that was it. Once I was able to get my distance, because at first I just looked like I was all, what am I doing
you're
here?
just all chaotic.
You know, look, it was crazy.
That's fun.
So, did that experience lead you to train in any specific martial art to get a sense of that close quarter?
Yes and no, more or less. I was.
Yes and no, more or less.
I started. I'm trying to remember. I was already.
I'm like, wait.
I don't know if that answered it or just made it more complicated.
No, I was in boxing and kickboxing. I was always more of an inside fighter because, as you said when you first saw me, you're a lot shorter than
He
what I
said
thought.
that I actually had a
because
sense.
I've seen you on the Merv Griffin. I've seen you in some of your DVDs. You look big. You look taller. Yeah, you look. You know. So on those, when I saw you, I was like, oh, she's maybe about 5'6".
She's
7.
humbling herself, so she's
I'm
looking smaller.
I'm trying to stand up, sit up taller. I'm almost 5'3".
You're making me look like a midget. Cut it out.
I'm 5'3".
You're 5'3". I'm 5'4", and I still feel like a midget next to you.
I'm 5'3" when I'm standing.
I know.
When I'm standing really tall, I'm 5'3".
Well, you get good posture then.
Yeah, you do have terrible posture, by the way.
I slouch.
Yeah, you do all the time.
So
yes and no, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, that's
maybe
why
later.
Because as a boxer, as a kickboxer, I was always a very strong inside fighter.
Okay.
Women, and that's one of the reasons I felt like I never lost a fight, was because women were not trained to go to the body.
Right.
And I felt very comfortable inside. So that, when you think about that, translated to my martial arts. So even though I was training with Danny Inosanto, and they didn't really use a lot of close quarter unless they get into puño range and stuff like that. But that's when one of the times he brought Angel Cabales to the school, I was like, wow, this is really cool because it's a shorter stick, it's a shorter distance.
Yeah, Angel is very, very close.
And that was my first introduction to more of a close quarter system.
Wow, that's
so
cool.
yes, I did look. I sought that out because I wanted. Figure I'm gonna.
Had you heard of Angel before then?
No.
And they just brought this skinny old man in and said, "Hey, check out this guy," and everyone was like, "Holy crap, who is this guy?"
Exactly. Well, Guru Dan used to always bring different instructors.
Right. Yeah.
He would always expose us to different systems, and you would gravitate towards one or the other. Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
So I got a big favor to ask because you know Danny, our Grandmaster, Supreme guy. Can you give us his phone number? I mean, he's...
Yeah, it's kind of shameless to do it on camera.
Oh, hey, this is the only time I can do it where I have proof that we have... Yeah, we do know Graciela. So, Danny, if you're watching...
There's a bit more prudence on my end. I wasn't going to go that far, but really?
So anyway, what was your next question?
Oh, no, I'm just teasing with that question. That's one of our dream guests.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, but...
Yeah.
So you trained with
now, Angel Cabales. Angel Cabales must have been a lot of fun. I mean, because he, everybody just calls him the chicken step guy because he does this, right? I mean, you know what I'm talking because he got this big smile like, yeah, I remember that. But the man could move.
He could, but when I trained with him, he was already, I want to say in his 70s.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. And it was my friend Cliff Stewart and we would drive to Stockton. See, today people don't want to drive across town.
Right.
When we were learning, we would drive to Stockton. I would drive to San Diego to train with Guru Nari Babao. I would train. We just got in the car and went.
And you just went.
And the first time I flew, I don't know where he picked me up, what airport is near Stockton, but it's so funny because when...
That's a little
I don't know where I flew into somewhere, but I just will never forget that when I was going home, he says, I've got to go to the hospital. And I go, oh, why? He says, my wife is having a baby. And I'm like,
why are we here? What's wrong with you?
It was time for her. It was time to take her to the hospital, something like that. And and that's where his son was born, who's now an adult.
Yeah, that's funny.
After training, I have to hurry. I have to go get.
I gotta go see my son, who's just now been born.
I don't think he'd been born, but she was at the hospital.
That's so funny.
But it was fascinating training with him, and
Right.
you know, I got
Who are your other the trainers? Because I know you met a lot of people. I
Yeah,
mean,
you've trained under a
consider
lot of
who you are, especially at the time. People were grabbing, that's the women's champion and the kickball. I mean, they got to be like, hey, I want to get to train.
Well, at that point in time in my life, I was also writing for the magazines. I had a column in Black Belt magazine for years. I started with Inside Karate, Kung Fu
Right.
Illustrated. Then went to Inside Kung Fu. But I wrote for Black Belt. I had a column called Warrior Spirits. So when you write for a magazine, it's easier to get through certain doors because besides having the titles, you're more legit. They see you
Right.
someone. So one of the persons that I was fascinated with, that I unfortunately didn't get to train a lot with, or I should say train with, I don't want to claim I really learned from him, except it was all talk stories, was Flora Villabrel.
Wow, you
And-
got to.
Oh yeah, I would fly and I would stay with him and his family.
You know how
and,
hard it is to see him when you go to Hawaii.
Well, no, he's been gone for years.
No, but
Yeah.
when he was around,
Oh.
you could not. Nobody could just walk up there. You had
Oh,
to
I
have
didn't know that.
invitations. Dude, it was hard. I know because we know.
He probably
Yeah.
tried. That's why.
No, because there's certain
I
names
have
or certain people.
and I was really, one of my favorite times with him was, and I have a lot of this on tape if I could find some way to listen to it, because it's little small cassettes that we don't have anymore.
We will
and
find a way.
videotape,
Dude,
but,
you could actually take him to like either Costco or
the little
Walgreens.
cassettes.
Yeah,
Not-
they will
digital
transfer.
files.
Yeah, they'll turn it
Okay.
into a digital file.
Well, here I am training at Guru Nasanto's Academy, and I'm telling this story about how Grandmaster Flora Villabrel trained with Princess Josephina, and the guys are like, come over here. I won't mention his name, Cas Magda, but anyway, said, you're giving misinformation. That's not true. And I'm like, well, that's what Guru Dan has always said. No. He said, so here I am, fast forward, here I am sitting in his living room, and I'm saying, could you tell me the story? Is it true you actually trained with this woman, this Princess Josephina? He goes, oh, yeah. And he proceeded to tell me the story of how he trained with her, and she wasn't really blind. People refer to her as a blind princess.
Right.
But she had severe cataracts. And he actually did train with her, and he talked about how he learned from her. And it was just a personal victory for me, to being a female, being a woman, saying, okay, this man
He just
who
told
was
me, yeah.
unbelievable
Right.
and fought to the death, I don't know how many fights,
Yes,
was okay learning from a woman.
right. That's
And-
amazing.
Especially in
So-
that culture.
Well, I had
During that
heard.
time.
I had heard that. Are you Filipino?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just checking. You can't assume.
Everybody always thinks I'm Japanese.
You're
or-
the minority right
Yeah,
now. So.
exactly. It's okay.
Well,
I'm in.
I've heard stories that a lot in the islands, a lot of the villages, it was the women that did the training.
Yes.
That taught. So
Really?
Yes, this is true.
This is new to me.
No, that's always been the case.
Really?
That's why
so
if
you've
you
kept it from me, huh?
if you look at the candle dancing,
I had to do that for a film I did.
yeah,
It was very
but
strange.
that was the women saying that. That's why women were so good at it. They actually taught the men how to
Well,
use
Guru
that.
Dan used to always say that women are better at this than the guys because of the flexibility, the speed, and another misconception. These are attributes that women can develop
Yeah,
Much
and-
easier.
much easier. Yeah.
than men.
But yeah, no, that's a real thing. So there you go. Another one for you to say. Yeah, it was.
Well, and how does that get lost then in history?
Because everybody's doing this thing. Say we're the.
Well,
Well, I'm asking her, not you.
a lot of
So
That's right, we're interviewing
go
her.
right ahead. I wrote an article years ago back in for Black Belt magazine, something to the effect, I can't remember the title, but it's the art dying.
Yeah.
And I interviewed different instructors, Filipino instructors,
Wow.
and just Filipinos that happen to do not necessarily formally teaching, but I asked why, because I did an article on Josefina Del Mar, who's an incredible escrimadora, and she's in Oahu, and she's somebody that would probably have a lot of really interesting history.
Cool.
She trained with
We can go to Hawaii.
Tabosa.
We can go to Hawaii.
So I totally forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, that
So
the
it
magazine,
started- yeah,
Black Belt
no, no,
magazine,
I'm
the
back.
dying.
I'm back.
I'm
Chair.
back.
Anyway. So anyway, they were saying that the reason the art was dying was because they didn't believe, and they didn't want to pass it on, teach it to their kids, because they
Right.
didn't feel they needed it anymore, and they weren't. A lot of the young people just
Didn't
weren't
care.
interested.
Well, if you think about now, the way if you go to the Philippines and ask people about Filipino martial art, a lot of them don't know.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Every Filipino I meet, do you know what our niece Kali Eskrima and
Yeah,
any
and they'd be
ring
like,
about
oh,
it?
what's that?
Here where I live, there's Filipinos all around me. My neighbors are Filipino
Yeah.
to the right. I mean, and they look at me sometimes it's strange because sometimes
What do you-
because when I was training for the fight, see my gear.
Yeah, I saw.
We have to run with that on.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
jeez. Like,
Kim
what is she doing up
make
there?
us run. They don't know what I'm doing, and you would think, why don't you know this?
Yeah.
It's part of your
No,
culture.
no. It's,
So one of the things that I did, I retired a couple of years ago from Oxnard College, where I was a professor for
Right.
years, and I wrote curriculum. I was also an academic counselor, but when I was for 7 years, I left counseling to teach, and I developed these courses that are UC and CSU transferable.
Oh, wow.
One of them is Eskrima, and along with it, you have to put the whole history and everything.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
you could take Eskrima and it'll satisfy your PE requirement. But I felt like I had arrived when I would show up to my class and I'd have 40 students and more than half were Filipino.
and they had no clue what you were talking about.
No, but the fact that they
Yeah.
would come to learn
Yeah,
from
to
me.
learn, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What an art. Yeah.
But they were interested in learning about
And that
their
was here?
culture. Yeah, here in Oxnard. This is a
that's
huge
cool.
Filipino community in Oxnard.
Did not know that at all.
Yeah, every time when we were driving up here, all we saw was white people. It was crazy.
That's
We
because
felt
you're
weird.
coming
We're
from
like,
north. You keep
yeah.
going south. It's all Latinos and Filipinos.
Dude, we haven't found any. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Anyway,
He brought his own Latino. Just
yeah,
to
I
be
brought my
sure.
own just so I could say, oh, look, here's Latino.
Yeah, we're that way. We should have warned you ahead of time.
Yeah.
We don't just not cut anything from the video.
No.
We should cut ourselves out.
Because after this, I got to take him back to Home Depot.
I have an interesting story. Here I am sitting in North Carolina after training with Bobby Taboada. And we're all sitting in this restaurant. And conversations, you know how it is, where there's 3 different conversations
Oh,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
And somebody asked me if I was Filipino, and I said, no. And all of a sudden, it got really quiet. And Bobby, 'cause we call him Bobby, says, what? You're not Filipino?
I can just see this. That hilarious.
And I just kind of went,
She got hit in the liver again.
What do you mean? You're supposed to be Filipino.
exactly.
He
I went,
starts-
oh my God, does that mean he's not going to teach me anymore? And I had Alexandra, my baby, at the
cute.
time. She's now 23, so that was 23 years ago because I had my baby.
Right.
And I was looking at everybody going, oh, am I not?
Yeah, you're out of the club.
I'm out. That's it. I'm done. And then, I mean, it was the longest. You talk about a pregnant pause. It was so quiet, and I didn't say anything. And all of a sudden, he just started laughing. I think he saw the look on my face.
Yeah.
I was like,
Was I not supposed
the
to say anything?
yeah, the Spaniards were in the Philippines, and
Yeah.
the Spaniards were in
I
Mexico.
could be.
We're all
I could have been.
connected.
There was
I might have
crossbreeding.
been.
I know there was
Yeah.
crossbreeding somewhere.
A bunch of Filipinos were left in Mexico. We're
Yeah.
probably all related.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that either.
Oh yeah, we always have to.
A lot of our
people are
natives
shocked
are
when I
taken
say
there, too.
something.
Yeah.
Like, did you know the Spanish Armada had 80% Filipino sailors? Like, what? No, wait, the Spanish Armada? What? Like, yeah, that's where they picked them up in the Philippines and brought them back to Spain.
And some of them didn't come back.
They did not.
A lot of them jumped ship to Mexico.
Oh,
They
yeah.
left them there.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow, that must have been that must have,
funny.
you know, and
That's
I'm
a
sure
shocking-
Bob, knowing Bobby, he's like he was messing with you. That
He was.
Oh, he was, of course.
because he's.
You know, he's a great singer and dancer.
Oh,
right?
really?
That he can sing.
Well, he's Filipino, so karaoke must have been the thing.
definitely sing.
But he could dance.
Really?
He was so light on his feet. He had the best footwork. I mean,
Oh,
still
yeah.
does. I
He
mean, I
still
haven't
does,
seen him
yeah.
in years, so.
Yeah,
That's
that's funny.
so great. But in North Carolina,
North Carolina, of all the places.
Charlotte.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
that's where he lived.
That's even worse.
That's where
Yeah.
he lived. I don't know if he's still there. I think he is.
Yeah,
We'll check
that's
this.
pretty awesome.
But,
So
that's
where
too
do
fun.
you see? Because I know you say you do a Zoom class, and what are you teaching in Zoom?
Well, I have different students, and there's my training partner.
Right.
That's why I have.
Have you named it?
No.
No,
Wanna
okay.
Give it a
We'll
name.
try
You're
it. We'll
supposed
try
to
later.
give them a name.
I
Yeah.
haven't. I have like 6 of these, but I just the others
you
are
have
in
6
storage.
of these?
No, but I only brought one home because the
Okay.
others are in storage,
Right.
and as you know, well, as I mentioned earlier, my dojo closed
Sadly.
Right.
with COVID, and
Yeah.
so I have all this equipment and.
So it's
But my
in
brother
store.
made this for me. My
Right.
brother
Oh, no
David,
way.
he's very creative, and he's really good at putting things together.
That's pretty cool.
That is.
And I said, hey, David, can you like put some tires together? I've seen that way we could train.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to see us hitting that thing with a stick because that's gonna be. I mean, that's gonna be a cool
treat,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll be like, ooh.
Do you have blades you use on it too?
No, you wouldn't use blades on that. You would use stick.
Oh, you'd hurt yourself just because.
I don't want to hurt the tires.
No, because when you're trying to get out,
Yeah.
you're gonna hurt yourself. That's crazy. That must be
I'm
a lot
just
of fun.
telling you,
Just-
yeah, it's
do, you,
about
do you train every morning?
I go to the gym every morning.
Okay.
Well, not every morning, 5 days a week.
All right. Yeah, you have to have some rest.
Yeah, you can tell.
You scare me, lady.
she looks great.
She scares me.
Why?
Well, just because she's flexing, she hit me, and I want,
hit you.
I
I
want.
was just showing you.
Well, that's what I said.
Push you
I was
off
like,
me
let
so
me
I
just
could
don't get knocked over. Don't get knocked over.
No.
I love
no.
the fluidity in which she cocks back.
Dude,
It's
she just
awesome.
it's the form is like she went like
And I love, even though she's sitting down, her hips are still active in her. In
you
her.
can see it. She knows how to use the mechanics in the
Oh, yeah.
we teach and
Oh, you do?
yeah we
No,
teach
she doesn't know that.
Well,
Just
I keep
kidding.
forgetting you haven't watched any
She
of our
didn't
shows.
even know we have a show.
Yeah, we have a show. So
The reason I'm sitting here is because Professor Denise Gonzalez
Yes.
called me and said, hey, there's this guy named Rico. They're going to be coming through. Talk to them.
yeah,
I went,
she's so thank
okay.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Auntie Denise. Otherwise, she would be like, "Get out."
Yeah, who the hell are you guys? No, you can't come
No,
in
she
this
said
house.
you're very nice people. So
Well, we
I just
try.
trust, you know,
Yeah.
she's...
So, have you known her to lie often? Okay, so
Plus, you know, she's a
Incredible.
really good cook. Last time she was here, she made chow mein.
Dude, she
it's so
fed
good.
us when we went to her
as
house.
soon as we reached her house, she was like, "Okay, sit down, eat. I just
Okay,
made the
you
food."
know, but that's Professor.
Yeah.
That's not me, so
No.
don't expect to be...
Well, what is
We ate before we came.
Yeah,
we ate before we came. We're good.
what is your official title in your art?